From Wish TV and the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is the News 8 Daily 8 Podcast with Wish TV's Kylie Conway. A Wish TV News 8 update.
Good morning, I'm Lena Pringle. This is your News 8 Daily 8 for Friday, October 13th. Today's forecast will include some changes. Fortunately, we'll start the day with plenty of sunshine before some potential rain impacts the area. Storm Track 8 says there will be scattered light showers until early Saturday morning, but severe weather is not expected throughout the state.
Searching for a romantic summer getaway? Escape with Rich Girl Summer, the new Audible original from Lily Chu. The exquisitely talented Philippa Sue returning to narrate her 5th Lily Chu title. This time, Philippa is joined by her real-life husband, Stephen Pasquale. Set in Toronto's wealthy cottage country, aka the Hamptons of Canada, Rich Girl Summer follows the story of Valerie, a down-on-her-luck event planner posing as a socialite's long-lost daughter, while piecing together the secrets surrounding a mysterious family and falling deeper and deeper in love with the impossibly hard-to-read and infuriatingly handsome family assistant, Nico. Caught between pretending to belong and unexpectedly finding where she truly fits in, Valerie learns her summer is about to get far more complicated than she ever planned. She's in over her head and head over heels. Listen to Rich Girl Summer now on Audible. Go to audible.com/richgirlsummer.
Breaking overnight, the Israeli military is warning all 1.1 million civilians in Gaza City to evacuate ahead of a possible ground invasion. New video shows Palestinians fleeing south as Hamas urges them to all stay inside their homes. The UN says the evacuation order is impossible without causing devastating humanitarian consequences. UN experts warn people in Gaza are at risk of starvation under Israel's constant airstrikes and the cutoff of electricity and supplies. The Palestine Red Crescent Society says there are no safe areas to evacuate, and it can't transport the sick and wounded in hospitals. Hamas says airstrikes have killed 13 of its hostages, including foreigners. Israel says Hamas is hiding underground and using civilians as human shields. Israel has amassed more than 300,000 reservists along its southern border with Gaza, but hasn't confirmed whether it's planning for an intensified military operation. Experts say a ground offensive would likely bring even higher casualties on both sides, on top of the more than 3,000 deaths already reported. U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin is now in Tel Aviv to meet with senior government leaders in Israel. He's also set to see firsthand the weapons and security assistance the U.S. rapidly delivered. Austin is the second high-level U.S. official to visit Israel in 2 days. Earlier this morning, Secretary of State Antony Blinken followed up his Thursday visit with Israeli leaders by meeting with Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas and Jordan's King Abdullah in Jordan. Abbas is the president of the Palestinian Authority, which has had minimal governing powers since it's lost its election to Hamas in 2007. The U.S. could start evacuating Americans from Israel as soon as today. The White House says it is arranging for at least 4 charter flights a day out of Israel through Frankfurt, Germany. The U.S. says at least 27 Americans have died because of the war. People on separate sides of the issue confronted each other during an emotional rally in downtown Indianapolis. The dueling protests were held on Monument Circle Thursday. Yesterday's demonstrations resulted in 1 arrest for battery. Turning to I-Team 8, Indiana State Police Superintendent Doug Carter is calling for major changes to the state's criminal justice system. He held a news conference yesterday to talk about the changes he wants. Carter says the main change he's seeking is a total overhaul of the Indiana bond matrix judges follow. He says a recent deadly high-speed crash caused him to come forward. As we've reported, Luis Aleba Gonzalez was arrested last month after crashing into another car at 120 miles per hour after police called off a chase with him. It left 3 people dead. Carter says he was infuriated by the judge's decision to give a $1,000 cash bond and $50,000 surety bond. He says the minimum bond should be raised for all serious bodily injury and death cases. The Center Township Constable's Office says it has temporarily suspended eviction, lockout, and court paper services over safety concerns. It says it can no longer use police radios because of an order from the Marion County Metropolitan Emergency Services Agency. The constable's office primarily serves eviction and court papers. It says that's already a dangerous task, especially if constables can't call for help. The office says while it hopes to get the issue resolved, the safety of officers is top priority. Happening today on Capitol Hill, House Republicans are slated to hold another closed-door meeting, essentially starting over again on the question of House Speaker. Majority Leader Steve Scalise ended his bid to get the gavel last night after failing to secure enough votes. Next steps are uncertain as the House is essentially closed, with Republicans deeply divided on who should be the next Speaker. Representatives voted Kevin McCarthy out last week. The man who led the charge against McCarthy says the process will strengthen the party. In his comments after leaving the race, Scalise declined to endorse Jim Jordan, the other declared candidate for the job. McCarthy said this week that he doesn't want to be Speaker again. Mike Pence will skip the Nevada caucuses. The former Indiana governor and candidate for president has entered the primary there instead. The state selection process has muddled this election cycle. Republican leaders are calling on their candidates to skip the primary and go through a caucus instead. Pence's name appeared yesterday on a list of those who have chosen to enter the primary. GOP leaders say this decision means Pence will not get any delegates. To business headlines, Americans' average rent payments have jumped to $2,047 a month. Zillow says that's up 3.2% from a year ago. Still, a Rent Cafe study finds renters are increasingly ditching their families and roommates to live alone. Meanwhile, in the United States, the average price of pumpkins has dropped slightly from about $5.4 per pumpkin last year to $5.24 this year. However, this year, more people plan to carve pumpkins, with 154 million people set to do so. Also, more pumpkins were grown this year in the U.S. than last. Negotiations have stalled between the Actors Union and the movie studios. It appears that wages and artificial intelligence protections remain sticking points. So the strike will continue, disrupting marketing campaigns and preventing production from commencing on many film and TV projects. This has been your News 8 Daily 8 for Wish TV. I'm Lena Pringle, online at wishtv.com, and like us on Facebook when you search Wish TV.
This is the News 8 Daily 8 podcast with Wish TV's Kylie Conway. A Wish TV News 8 update on demand for even more on demand and on the go. Connect with Wish TV on Facebook at wishtv.com and on the free Wish TV mobile app. Thank you for listening, and be sure to like, subscribe, and follow this podcast for updates every weekday morning on the All Indiana Podcast Network and wherever you get your podcast.